Hello, Bramer County and all of Iowa. I'm Dr. Sean Albrook. I'm a cancer scientist, biochem prof, and House District 57 candidate.
And I'm Dr. Emily Bavers. I'm a physician, mom of 3, and a health advocate.
Emily, last week was the first funnel week for the Iowa legislature. Let's continue our analysis of what did and did not pass.
So, Sean, clearly there have been a ton of bills. In fact, there were about 2,901 bills filed.
That's a lot of filing.
So far this legislative season. And that's nearly a 30% increase to the number of bills last year, which was a historic high last year. So, but with so many pressing issues facing Iowans, underfunding of public education, property tax concerns, long-term solvency of the state, second fastest rising cancer rates in the country, a healthcare crisis with workforce shortages and rural closures, critical water concerns, and last but not least, the worst economy in the country. I would like to think that our legislators are working really hard. What do you think, Sean?
Working hard or hardly working? Some of the bills proposed do nothing to address the challenges you just talked about, Emily.
Right. There's so many big challenges, but I agree. And I personally think the worst of these hardly working bills are those targeting libraries and trying to censor literature. Senate File 2119, removing the current exemptions built into the state law for public libraries and schools, would do little to further education and would allow for nuisance lawsuits against libraries and schools in Iowa, even for material that does not meet the legal definition of obscenity.
If certain members of a community don't like a book, don't read it. But censoring all of Iowa for your personal viewpoint is pretty intolerant. This bill survived the funnel.
We should make note of a bill promoted by our hometown senator, Sandy Salmon, which promotes lawsuits against schools for violations of diversity, equity, and inclusion that Senator Salmon supports.
We previously discussed this bill, Senate File 2405, and how it's basically the anti-DEI crowd making sure that their own viewpoints are protected.
It's really an astonishing lack of insight. Wow.
Yeah, the self-awareness is not necessarily strong there.
Another fascinating bill that does little to enrich our state is House File 2324, banning bookmobiles on school grounds because literature is apparently inconsistent with the values of education.
I got nothing. What is the point?
Yeah.
Bookmobiles,
folks.
Finally, Senate Joint Resolution 2012 encourages the federal government to go ahead and close the U.S. Department of Education. This is at the same time when the National Center of Education Statistics notes a 10-year downward trend on secondary education proficiency.
I really feel strongly that this is the time to invest more resources in the education of our youth, not less. I'd file this under hardly working as well.
The Iowa legislature, we need more people interested in hard work and taking on the big problems that you mentioned earlier this episode. Mm-hmm. I am very, and I know a lot of you are too, concerned about the future of education in the state of Iowa.
Until next time, be well,